Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and a friendly reminder, if I got to do a boot during this mailbag, I apologize ahead of time, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you just got to pull up to Thursday Night Football. Every single question that you're going to see is going to be from that live show, and I know this says we're going to be live 1 hour before kickoff on Sunday. The Raiders don't play this weekend, but I am going to be live, and I'm going to be live on our main YouTube channel for our NFL Red Zone show. So if anybody's watching this like, Mitch, I want to be able to hang out with you on game day, NFL Red Zone show at Main Chat Sports YouTube channel, go subscribe over there. Let's go to EZ. What up, EZ? I can build a better roster than Pete and call plays better than Chip on Madden. I mean, JPJ should be at center, and I'm not kidding you when I say this. Like, I think I am going to stop calling Chip Kelly. He, from here on out, is Kettle Kelly because that guy's cooked. And I know that we used to do the whole, I believe in Chip Kelly. I mean, now that seems about as lame possibly could be because Geno Smith has had a lot of issues. But I mean this when I say this. I think Chip Kelly might actually be a bigger issue for the Raiders than Geno Smith. And I think the perfect way to be able to prove it is think about the game script of that game last week against the Chiefs. You got no Brock Bowers. You got no Jacoby Myers. One run play with Ashton Genty out of your first 12 plays. How the hell is that possible? Those are scripted plays. Chip Kelly, Kettle Kelly, that guy's cooked. Wild one. You're next up here on the show. Mount Raider Moore, my brother. Mitch, did you hear the rumor the Raiders are already down 7-0 during the bye week when Geno threw a football and was intercepted by a stray dog that got into the facility and ran it back for a touchdown? Yeah, I'll tell you this right now, man. If there's one football team that probably could find a way to lose a game during the bye week, it's probably the Pete Carroll-led Las Vegas Raiders. And I think what's really difficult right now for Raider Nation is we're sitting here, we're frustrated, and I kind of wonder, would we have been better off keeping McDaniels? Would we have been better off keeping Antonio Pierce? And I'll also say this. I know what Mark Davis said the other day about he's not moving on from Pete, he's not moving on from John, and I know he won't move on from John. But there are actually some real rumors, real conversations being had in regards to Pete Carroll stepping down as the Raiders head coach. I'm not saying that it's come from any reliable sources to me, but I do know that there are some people really starting to talk about it, and I think it's being talked about because of how bad this team is right now from top to bottom. What up, Sin City? Besides Reek Woolen, who is a corner that we could trade for? You guys might hate me for this. You might love me for it. I don't know. For those of you watching live, I already kind of told y'all that I did a show right before we went live on Thursday Night Football, and it was all around trades. And one of the players that I talked about, well, actually, how about this? Let's ask you this question. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. I want you to name a player that you think that the Raiders could go out and trade for. I'm going to give you an answer here real quick after this YouTube ad break. The answer I'm going to give you is Alontae Taylor, cornerback from the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to talk about him a little bit more in depth on a trade video that's going to go out on Friday. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But Alontae Taylor has actually been a name that I've heard a few times, and it's because of his connection with Marcus Robinson, the Raiders cornerback coach, Joe Woods, who was in New Orleans last season. He's a versatile corner in the final year of his contract. Doesn't sound like he's going to be coming back because if you remember, they traded up for Kool-Aid McKinstry. They like a lot of their young guys in that secondary. So for the Raiders, a team that Diana Rossini said has been sniffing around for a cornerback, I think Alontae Taylor could be an interesting name. This guy's crazy. The Weldinator! Bang! Let's run it during the mailbag, Mitch. Oh, Raiders should let Fieldman run the O-line as well as let him have a shot at the run game coordinator. So here's what I'll say. If we make a change from Brennan Carroll, I think it should just be Joe Philbin. And that's because he did a good job last year with that exact same offensive line. At the exact same time, though, I don't know if y'all saw that interview with Brennan Carroll with his eyes like rolling the back of his head. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I sent that video to a few of my buddies that work at some hospitals, and they told me some very concerning stuff about it. I know Brendan's got some past issues. I'm not going to get into the crazy parts about what that could or could not be, but Brendan Carroll literally sat in front of a reporter, and he was like, I think that the offensive line has done a good job. To say that you think that the offensive line has done a good job tells me that you're not good at your job. And I think it also is like, when I hear stuff like that, it just tells me yet again that this is a organization filled with coaches that care more about being right instead of what's doing right. Because anybody that's got eyeballs, anybody that's got a pulse, anybody that's got a sense of anything knows that JPJ should play center for this offensive line. And everybody knows that JPJ should not be the guy that you're benching on this offensive line. Weldinator, I will get you a boot. I'm going to do it after the Prize Picks read, just so you know. If you guys don't already know, hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications because I'll tell you this right now. If the Raiders make a trade, I will go live. If a coach gets fired, I will be live, and I don't want you to miss it. I think that the Raiders Report is a much more fun and entertaining show when we can let our hair down, when we can have some fun, when we can talk about things that make us smile. And I'll tell you this, a trade, I hope that it makes me smile. Coach gets fired, that'll definitely make me smile. Hit that subscribe button and tune in with us. Let's go to Spindrift Jelly. Is there any available offensive lineman worth trading for? Right now, off the jump, the first name that came to my mind is, Joel from the Cleveland Browns. But here's the thing, man. I don't think the Raiders make any moves on the offensive line. And the reason why that I say that is because they already have Meredith at center. DJ Glaze deserves his flowers. Honestly, Stone Forsythe deserves his flowers. He's played much better than I anticipated. You got Dylan Parham, but you also drafted Caleb Rogers. You drafted Charles Grant. You signed Alex Kappa this offseason. Do I think that our offensive line could improve? Yes. But instead of you adding an available offensive lineman, this is the hard part of what we're dealing with here for a 2-5 football team. I would rather you just flip and play Caleb Rogers. I would rather you just flip and play Charles Grant. I would rather you just play these players that you drafted. Darian Porter is another one. I'm not saying not the offensive line, but play the guys that you drafted. Because a 2-5 football team, and that's got 3 players in the third round that aren't playing, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. It doesn't make any sense. So that's what I would do if I was the Raiders. We got a boot coming up here in just a moment, but you know what else I got coming up here? Our awesome sponsor, Prize Picks. Pick, predict, play. Available in 45 states, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Also on Prize Picks, if you want flexibility, you can choose a flex play. Now, for those of you that are watching this live, we don't know if this lineup has made me any money yet. For those of you that aren't watching this live, you're going to be able to know if I was able to turn that 10 into $80. But why I love doing the flex play and why I love taking advantage of a good deal here is because I plan on watching sports. I love basketball. I love football. I love baseball. And I do really think that this is the best time of the year to get started with Prize Picks. So if you want to roll with me and you want to roll with Chugs and you want to roll with Prize Picks, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So the Weldinator, we made a deal during our live Thursday Night Football show that said, Mitch, if we ended up getting this, I would have to put down a boot. And if you don't know what the boot is, you got to tune in to Thursday Night Football. While I'm putting this boot down, is there any chance you, Chugs, could maybe answer 1 to 2 questions that roll in up here with me? Weldinator, you're a legend, dude. I want you to know that. Also, Weldinator, you're one bang away from picking my Halloween costume.
Steven Stottgarten says, who is our future center if JPJ leaves us? I mean, the easy answer would be Jordan Meredith. That's the guy who they've kind of benched/moved JPJ for. I think he would be your center for the next couple of years, but if not him, you're definitely looking towards the draft. I don't know if they would want to move Dylan Parham back to center. Also, he's in a contract year situation. I don't think any of the guys you drafted this year would necessarily fit that role of a future center. So I think, I think it would be Jordan Meredith, but that's just me. Javier, can the Raiders trade Geno Smith in exchange for Pseudo Sanders? Gino Smith, Pseudo Sanders? No. I don't think there's any way you can trade for Shedeur Sanders. I don't think he's available, and I don't think they would want JPJ.
Oh. What up, 403? I can't believe we haven't traded Mostert, JPJ to Houston for a bag of chips yet. I mean, I think Houston's trying to figure out what they got going on right now in Joe Mixon. They got Nick Chubb, but to me, I think if there is any team in the NFL that should go out and trade for JPJ, it's the Houston Texans. Why? Because you can't evaluate anything on that roster. You can't. You can't evaluate anything you got on the offensive side of the football. And I think the biggest problem is you can't evaluate your quarterback. What is C.J. Stroud? I don't know. Because C.J. Stroud is a quarterback after his rookie year that I think a bunch of us sat up here and said, hang on, I got to burp. Was a quarterback that we all, I think, would have said easily, franchise quarterback, 55, 60, 65 million, no problem per year. Now we're sitting back going, if I was the Texans, I don't know if I would give him that brand. Like, I don't know if I'd give him that fifth-year option. And that's a crazy statement to make. If you're the Houston Texans, if you're DeMeco Ryan, the number one thing that you got to figure out is C.J. Stroud the guy. And here's the problem. You'll never figure it out with that offensive line. If I was the Texans, I'd call the Raiders about JPJ. No game this week, so what are we doing Sunday? Christian, I will be live for 3 shows, potentially. Definitely 2. I will be live for NFL Red Zone at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will be live for Monday Night Football, KC against the Washington Commanders. So if you want to hang out with me, this is on our main YouTube channel here at Chat Sports. This right here is going to be on the Raiders Report. At the time that I'm filming this video right now, I actually do not know if I'm going to be live for the World Series. I think I'm going to have to based on how Thursday night's going, and y'all are about to see the final deal of tonight's show. But there is a chance that I will be live for Game 1 of the World Series, NFL Red Zone, and Monday Night Football. Raiders Report, main YouTube channel, Chat Sports. Let's go to my man, Guts. Add one former Raider, Prime, to today's team, question mark. If I could add any Raider in his prime to today's team, I'm going to add John Madden. And if you're not going to specify player or coach, all you said is Raider, John Madden is as Raider as it comes. And I was excited about Pete Carroll. Hell, honestly, maybe the answer is Al Davis, to be honest with you. Al might be the answer to this one. To me, though, it's not a player. Like, there's not a player that I think is going to be able to save us, right? Like, there's not a player that's going to save this team. To me, what I would look at right now is how can we get back to our winning ways? And I think organizations that get back to their winning ways, it kind of starts with the top to down. And maybe it's an Al Davis, maybe it's a John Madden, but I want a head coach that I feel like puts us like we're going in the right direction. And I don't know if we're going in the right direction. If I could pick any player right now to put on this football team that I think would help us instantaneously, yeah, man. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to say Jim Otto. Like, Jim Otto and JPJ would be a lot of fun. Charles Woodson would fix a secondary problem, no doubt about it. Could we get another edge rusher like a Howie Long? to be able to help out a guy like Maxx Crosby. There's a lot of different. Seabass? Shit, man. Give me Seabass. Chug said Derek Carr. If you told me right now, Mitch, you get a little genie. He comes out of the bottle, and it's not going to count as one of your wishes. All you got to do is nod. Geno Smith for Derek Carr. I nod my head. That's where I'm at right now. And anybody that knows me knows how bad that is, man. What up, June? Ashton Genty deserves greatness. It's sad the Raiders are embarrassing him. I was so excited to see him play in the NFL. Ruined. Chip sucks. Trying to stay positive. It's only his rookie year. It is only his rookie year. And, I think the hard part about Raiders fans is I'm going to look at all y'all and tell you to be patient. And problem is we've been patient for 20 years. It's like you're sitting in a line to get in a roller coaster. They told you that line of the roller coaster, the hour wait. They said, hey, it's going to be a 2-hour wait. Some of us are sitting in that line going, bro, it's been 6 hours. Bro, it's been a year. It's been 20 years. How much longer do I got to wait in line to be able to ride that roller coaster? I'm just going to keep telling y'all to be patient. I don't have the answer for you. The only reason why I don't feel bad for Ashton Genty, real talk, because he got $32 million. The only reason why I don't feel bad for NFL players is because these guys are making millions. Life-changing, generational type of change. I don't feel bad for any player. Do you know why? They sign the contract. We don't. Raider Jake, what's up, brother? Honest question, how many games are you hoping we win this season? Oh, God. Hope 7. Think 4. 5. I mean, where are we going to run into our wins? Jacksonville? I don't think we're going to win that game. Denver? I don't know. Chargers again? Chiefs again? I don't know. I mean, to me right now, I think the only games that we have a shot to win, the Browns, the Giants. I mean, the Texans' offensive line is bad, so anything's possible. Injuries can happen, so anything's possible. But, 4 to 5 wins, guys, I have no idea. And I'm only saying that off of hope because I promise you this, the Raiders will be underdogs every single game for the rest of the year. And that's only because of what they have and have not done on a football field. That's real talk, it sucks, but that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now. If you guys want to let me know how many games you think the Raiders are going to win, I see my guy Stockgotten says 6. I see Just Win says 5. Treflin says it's been 42 years. What up, Alex Gonzalez? Gruden as OC. Let him take over after Pete leaves. I really don't think Gruden's going to do this. I do know that Gruden and Mark still have a very good relationship, but I just don't think that Gruden would do it. And the only way that I would ever even entertain this idea is if Gruden looks at Mark Davis and he looks at John Spytek and he goes, I'm not going to have anything to do with the draft. And I know some people probably don't believe in Spytek's ability to draft based on what we've seen this season. But to me, the way that you're going to rebuild is through the draft. And I just don't believe in John Gruden's ability to be able to do that. And I know that a lot of Raiders fans fall in love with past names, old names. And I know people love Gruden because he's a popular figure in the media. But I mean this. I wish Raiders fans could leave their ex, could leave that past relationship that wasn't a healthy relationship. And I just wish that you could look for other people that are better. Look at a lot of the great teams in the NFL. They are ran by young, innovative head coaches. Coaches that are up with the times. And when you look at how the Raiders are operating right now with Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, we look like a team that, imagine your grandmother when you're talking to her. I love my grandmother to the moon and back, and I had this conversation with her the other day. She waits every morning for the newspaper to come out. Why? She wants to see the Mets scores. I kind of feel like that's how the Raiders are, where they wait for the morning paper to come in, to get the information. There's a thing called the internet. And I just look at the preparation week in and week out. We look like we are very unprepared. And I wonder if it's because we're letting a bunch of old men run a team and we're just a little bit outdated right now. I appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in. If you're not watching Thursday Night Football, today's going to be a shit show. If you enjoyed this mailbag, that's the definition of a real one. I will see you guys this entire week. Reminder, Game 1, World Series, live YouTube channel, main YouTube channel for our Red Zone coverage, Monday Night Football here on the Raiders Report.